General Johnson Olony and the new political alignment. General Johnson Olony Sabo is a well-known military and a political figure. Well, this is just an opinion from someone. Before we proceed, if you are new to Changfied YouTube channel, please, I would like you to tap the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. General Johnson Olony Sabo, he has been associated with the Agwelek forces in the Upper Nile region. His political journey has passed through different alliances, and that history is important for understanding the latest development. According to this information, report indicate that the Agwelek Kidguang faction has now moved into the political camp of the SPLM. The development reportedly took place on August 8, 2026. According to this information, for some people this may look like a simple political agreement, but when we look at South Sudan story, it become much more complicated. South Sudan has experienced many political split. A military commander have changed side, political group have broken apart, former enemies have later become partner. And people who once fought against the government have sometimes returned to the government through peace agreement or political arrangement. This has happened many times, so the question is not simply did we join the SPLM? The bigger question is, what does this alliance mean and how long can it last? South Sudanese politics has often been shaped by shifting alliance. A political leader may oppose the government today and negotiate with it tomorrow. A military commander may fight against government force and later receive a government position. A former rebel may become part of the national security structure. Another commander may leave the government and return to army opposition. This cycle has repeated itself many times. There are many reasons for this. Some are political, and some are security related. Some are connected to community interests. Others are about access to government resources and political position. This does not mean every political agreement is dishonest. Some agreement can prevent fighting. Some can bring former enemies together. Some can save life. But the problem begins when political agreement become temporary solution rather than a step toward building a strong institution. The SPLM has often presented itself as a broad political movement capable of being different groups together. This approach is sometimes described as a big tent. The idea is simple. Instead of fighting every opponent, the ruling party can bring some opponent into the political system. A former rival may receive political opposition. Military commander may be integrated into government structure. A political faction may receive representation. In theory, this can reduce violence. If army group enter politics instead of fighting, people may benefit from greater security. But there is another side to the argument here. Critics say that repeatedly rewarding army group with political position can create a dangerous lesson. The lesson can become, if you want political power, first build an army group. If you become powerful enough, the government may eventually negotiate with you. That can encourage more rebellion. It can also weaken peaceful political participation. One useful way to understand this system is through the idea of a political marketplace. Political economists alike the world has used this concept when studying countries where political power is strongly connected to personal deals, money, military influence, and elites network. In very simple terms, a political marketplace is a system where political support can be exchanged for benefits. Those benefits might include government position, they might include military rank, they might include financial support, they might include regional influence, they might include protection. In such a system, Political loyalty may not always come from ideology. It may come from calculation. A leader may ask, what do I gain by supporting this side? Another may ask, what happened to my community if I remain outside the government? A military commander may ask, can I protect my force if I don't? This question can be more important than political philosophy. One of the biggest problems facing South Sudan is the connection between military power and political influence. In a strong democratic system, political parties compete mainly through ideas, policies, election, and public support. But in a country affected by a long period of war, army group can become major political actors. A commander with thousands of fighters may have more bargaining power than a politician with no army supporters. That creates a difficult situation. It means military power can become political capital. This is one reason why army groups continue to play a major role in political negotiation in South Sudan. To understand this problem, we have to look at the history of the SPLM and SPLA. The movement began as a liberation struggle against the Sudanese government in Khartoum during a war. An organization needs flexibility. It needs to survive. It needs to work with different groups to operate across large areas. It needs commanders who can make quick decisions. It needs local alliance. That kind of structure can be useful during a liberation struggle. But governing a country is a different story. A government needs institutions. It needs a professional civil service. It needs court, police, accountable army. It needs functioning ministers, clear budget, election. It needs laws that apply to everyone. The skill needed to win a war are not always the same skill needed to govern a country. This is one of the major challenges South Sudan has faced today. Another major challenge is the integration of army group. When a rebel commander joins the government, what happened to his fighters? Do they all join the national army? Are they properly trained? Are they disarmed? Are they given new identities? Are they placed under one national command, or do they continue to follow their own commander? This question matters. A national army should have one chain of command. Soldiers should be loyal to the country and the constitution. They should not primarily answer to individual political leaders. If different commanders maintain separate army structures inside the national army, the country can remain vulnerable to future conflict. General Johnson Olony's history makes the latest development especially interesting. His political journey has included different relationships with South Sudan major political faction. At different times, he has been associated with opposition under Dr. Riek Machar and different military political arrangements. Now, his faction is moving closer to the SPLM. This shows how quickly political relationship can change. But we should not immediately assume that this means every previous disagreement has disappeared. Political agreement can solve some problems while leaving others issues unresolved. A commander may sign a political agreement because it is useful at one particular moment. That does not necessarily mean every strategic disagreement has disappeared. This is probably one of the biggest questions. Can General Olony remain a loyal member of the SPLM for the long term? Nobody can predict the future with certainty, but South Sudan's history tells us that political alliance can change. The strength of an alliance often depends on whether both sides believe they are benefiting. If both sides feel protected and represented, cooperation can continue. And if one side believes that promises are being broken, tension may return. This is why agreement need more than signatures. They need institutions. They need clear rules. They need accountability. They need trust, and they need mechanism for solving disagreement peacefully. Political scientists sometimes use something called principal agent theory to explain situations like this. The idea is simple. One side gives authority to another side to perform a task, but the two sides may have different interests. In this example, the government may want a commander and his force to become part of a unified national system. The commander may agree, but the commander may still have his own political priorities, local responsibilities, and military network. This can create tension. The government may think you are now part of our national system. The commander may think I have joined because this arrangement protects my people and my political interests. Those two positions are not necessarily the same. That is why integration must be institutional rather than simply personal. To understand General Olony's political decision, we also have to consider the Upper Nile region. South Sudan is a country where national politics and local community interests are often closely connected. Leaders are frequently judged by their communities based on whether they protect local interests. A national political agreement may therefore be viewed through a local lens. A commander may support a government because he believes it will protect his people. Another leader may reject the same government because he believes it threatens his community. This creates complicated political calculation. It also means that national political identity does not always replace local identity. Community security remains extremely important. The Agwele force have been an important military force in the Upper Nile political landscape. Their existence has been connected to local security concern and political struggle. The integration of Agwele linked force into the wider national political structure therefore raised another major question. What happened to their independent military identity? If fighters are fully integrated into the national army, the government would ideally establish one professional command system. If they remain under a separate command structure, then the problem of divided authority continues. This is not only about General Olony. It is about the entire process of security sector reform in South Sudan. Disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration are often discussed in peace process. These programs are commonly known as DDR. The purpose is to help former fighters leave army group and return to civilian life or join legitimate security institution through a proper process. DDR is difficult. A fighter may fear losing his protection. A commander may fear losing political influence. Communities may fear becoming vulnerable if their army representative disappear. That is why successful DDR require trust. It also requires a credible national security system. If people believe the national army cannot protect them, they may resist disarmament. This is one of the deeper challenges facing South Sudan today. There is another serious issue. Imagine a young political leader watching what happened in the country. He sees a political system where peaceful politicians struggle to gain attention. Then he sees an army commander gain political influence after taking up arms. What lesson does he learn? He may conclude the peaceful politics is weak. He may believe the army power is the fastest path to recognition. That is dangerous. A country cannot build lasting peace if political violence repeatedly received better reward than peaceful political participation. This is why South Sudanese need political institutions that give citizens a genuine path to influence without carrying weapons. Why does this cycle continue? Because each side may have a reason to continue it. The government wants to reduce the threat posed by army group. The army group want political recognition and security. The commander wants protection for his forces and community. The government may offer position. The command there may agree to cooperate for a short time. Everyone may benefit. But if the underlying institution remain weak, the same problem return. Another commander emerged, another rebellion start, another agreement is signed, another integration process began, and the cycle continues. Another problem is the limited space for genuine political competition. A healthy political system should allow people to organize, campaign, criticize the government, and compete for power without fear of violence. When political competition becomes restricted, people may search for other ways to gain influence. In a fragile state, this can include army mobilization. That is why democracy is not simply about election. It is also about institution. It is about the rule of law. It is about freedom of political organization. It is about accountability. And it is about making sure people do not need guns to be heard. There are several possible outcomes from the new relationship between General Olony faction and the SPLM. The first possibility is genuine political integration. If the government is implemented properly, former rival could become part of a national political structure. Their fighter could be integrated into national institution. Their political government could be addressed, and the agreement could reduce tension in part of Apanal. That would be a positive outcome. The second possibility is temporary cooperation. The two sides may work together while their interests are aligned, but disagreement could emerge later. If promises are not fulfilled, the relationship could become difficult. The third possibility is a deeper transformation. General Olony and his supporters could become fully integrated into the ruling political system and gradually move away from independent military politics. That will require more than political announcement. It will require real institutional change. The lesson should not simply be that one commander joined one political party. The bigger lesson is about how South Sudan manage political disagreement. The country needs a system where political power comes from institutions rather than guns. It needs a national army that is truly national. It needs political parties that compete through ideas. It needs courts that can operate independently. It needs public institutions that serve citizens. And also it needs a political culture where losing a political argument does not mean losing your life or your security. And it needs leaders who understand that government resources belong to the people. The SPLM has played a central role in South Sudan's history. It led the liberation struggle. It became dominant political force after independence. Because of that story, the party carries a major responsibility. The question is whether it can transform itself from a liberation movement into a modern political institution. A liberation movement is built around struggle. A government should be built around service. These are different responsibilities. The country needs institutions that can continue functioning regardless of which individual is in power. That is the real test of political maturity. Well, thank you for watching. Let's meet on the next report.